Joining me via Zoom is international relations expert Dr. Ishmael Hlovo for more on this. Doc, China's influence on third world countries is something that has caught the attention of many. Already, many are worried over the conditions that may accompany a debt relief. But even before we cross that hurdle, Germany is advising businessmen and members of parliament to use their powerful links to help support the country achieve this. What do you make of this suggestion?
Okay, good evening and good evening to your viewers. I think that it's very important that we put our own debt negotiation within the context of the broader challenge of developing nations in responding to the global situation that we find ourselves in. The call that business people doing business in China should come on board and help Ghana in getting an agreement with the Chinese, well, it is appropriate. It also tells us that we have not been able to penetrate through to the Chinese as we should have. Indeed, the last time the finance minister was supposed to go to China, but if you know the Chinese setup, in February, they will always go for what we call the Chinese New Year, and that takes about 15 days. And usually, at that period, they normally maintain skeletal staffs within their institutions. And of course, if you listen to the speech of the ambassador very well, you observe that there's still issues with the domestic side that needs to be addressed. So for instance, you made mention of the fact that the power sector is still a major contributor to the debt issue. And we are accumulating debt every year. So, and of course, the size of government has always been mentioned. And if we don't get these aspects done, it is quite difficult to call on the outsiders to help you to restructure when you yourself you are not able or ready to take the most painful part of the deal. So yes, dealing with China will be a little bit complex because, yes, already they have committed some resources within the G20 framework, particularly on the debt service suspension initiative, which we failed to take advantage of. Indeed, estimates suggest that if we had taken advantage of it, in 2021, from January 2021 to December 2021, we will have saved around $16 million. China contributed to that. We didn't take advantage. Within the FOCAC framework, they have also contributed to debt suspension for some countries. So you see, they have their own arrangement in terms of dealing with this debt issue. Now, so what we should be doing is to try as much as possible to reach out to the Chinese. We must not expect that whatever we put on the table will be accepted. Indeed, they have their own agenda. And of course, as we are preparing, I think we are asking for debt cancellation. What exactly are we bringing on board? Are we just going to ask for them to just forgive us our debt, or there's something that we want to use in exchange of the debt?
Doc, what's likely to pay for a debt relief in the event that China agrees to cancel our debt?
We may, as we have always done, there are many things we could exchange. Of course, the latest loan, quote and unquote, that we took from China was a barter trade, where we exchanged our bauxite for money. Now, such an arrangement is no longer feasible because then it has now been counted as part of your loan. So when you are you going for total debt cancellation? Are you going for debt rescheduling, which is a little bit better so that ultimately you pay your debt, but maybe at a longer time frame? But looking at the kind of thing, the situation we are in, we are trying to ask for debt cancellation, which China has done within certain frameworks that we didn't take advantage of. So we push ourselves to a particular situation where we are now pushing the Chinese to appear as if they are the ones that are delaying our going to the IMF. But we must take the blame that, yes, they provided frameworks within which they also operated, which we didn't take advantage of. And the situation we are in now demands that we be more diplomatic with the Chinese. Of course, we can't compel them to cancel your debt. It is a voluntary thing. But then again, the statement of the ambassador also suggests that without China participating, it will be difficult for the Western creditors to participate. So here it takes, we must be highly diplomatic, and we must also work with the other African countries and developing nations that are in similar situation to kind of present maybe a common solution to the Chinese. Because if you go as Ghana and present a particular solution, if they accept that solution, other nations will automatically want the same treatment. So why don't we collectively seem to, okay, can you help us in this manner? That will give us a bigger voice. But then again, because we need the thing within a particular time frame, and of course, we push ourselves to this time frame by delaying going to the IMF. So I think that the way out may be perhaps to act in concert with other nations that are in a similar situation and need China to come on board to cancel their debt, so that they will look at it as a holistic approach. That may be more appealing to the Chinese.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Hlovo is international relations expert. Let me bring in President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obing. Doc, do Ghanaian businessmen have what it takes to help government get a debt cancellation? Hello, Dr. Obing.
Please again, your voice was cutting.
I'm asking if Ghanaian businessmen have what it takes to help government get a debt relief.
Yeah, we do not have any precedent. The fact that we have not even attempted in these negotiations before, and the fact that we are also not always part in these negotiations, do not give us the clout even to do this. But for us to do it at this time is also very necessary. And coming from the German ambassador, it means that there's precedent elsewhere that probably it has even happened in their country before. And that's why we have to give it a try. And that we have to use our connections with our Chinese counterparts, our suppliers, and especially those Chinese traders and businesses here, that we can all come together and lobby strongly. We believe that when we are able to do it and do it right, we can be able to achieve this. But you know, the way the Chinese do their things, they have their own ways of doing things, and that we have to seek questions from their embassy or ambassador as to how to go about this. Otherwise, probably the approach may be even wrong, because they are very stringent in their ways. So we have to seek answers to some of these things, so that we can do, but it's doable, it's possible, considering the relationship that we have with the Chinese government. It goes, it has its even tradition from our first president, and the input that our first president did, that they do appreciate the business that we have that has increased, the volumes have increased, the benefit that they also get from us. It will not serve them right if our economy collapses entirely. So the onus lies on them, a bigger partner, as China is, to rescue the weaker and the smaller country like Ghana. So it is also very important for China to come to our rescue, and that they should not do things that they do normally. It may not augur well for all of us.
Are you willing to assist government if government approaches you?
Definitely. If the economy improves, the business community is the first to benefit. And I hope you know that. As we are suffering, especially the last quarter of the year where the forex went up and all that, it was all because of some of these things. And if we have an answer to it by debt restructuring or by debt cancellation entirely and all that, that may improve. But that may not also be the solution if we do not reform and we do structural reformation. It is very important that we reform our economy entirely, that we do not do the the things that we do. Otherwise, help may come and it will be temporarily. It may not help. So the honest liaison, as people are talking about the public expenditure, the reduction of public expenditure, ensuring value for money, and we overspend. We overprice our contracts, and we do so many things that let this money go. And that if we're able to prune down some of this expenditure, and then also use our investment laws to contain the excessive importations that comes in, definitely we'll be able to, even without countries coming to our aid, would have done the best thing to salvage the economy itself.
Dr. Obi, I'm grateful for your time. He is president of GUTA. Let's move on to other stories. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin says despite fierce disagreements on the floor of the House, MPs should not be moved to fight each other. There were near fisticuffs on the floor of Parliament Thursday evening over disagreement on a proposed constitutional instrument from the EC that makes the Ghana card the sole identity document for persons seeking to register as voters. Alban Bagbin says MPs must be all about brain, not brown. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Asante has more.
The disagreement on Thursday night was due to EC chairperson Jean Mensah failing to appear before Parliament to brief MPs on his proposed CI. MPs were at each other's throat, and it took the intervention of security personnel to calm tempers. The Speaker is unhappy about the development.
The House is a house for brain, not for brow. The brow belongs to another arena. So please, let's continue to judge your indecency. There are some exceptions, but it should not be the rule that every day the heat is being generated rather from Parliament.
Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin says their colleagues on the minority side should learn to tolerate opposing views.
On our side, if we see signs of mistrust, it won't be an excuse to go physical. Because, Mr. Speaker, if there are signs of mistrust in any democracy, or signs of supposed mistrust, and anything, it shouldn't be an excuse to use your strength to attack. Mr. Speaker, they are incorrigible. They are incorrigible. That's not the way to use a brain. You get up quietly, catch Mr. Speaker's eye, then, especially when your leader is on his feet, you don't shout.
But his colleague, the Deputy Minority Leader Emmanuel Amakufibua, shot back, accusing Afenyo-Markin of being part of the reason why the discourse on the floor is usually heated.
Mr. Speaker, the reason we are where we are, you had given us advice. He provoked. He is part of our problems. Mr. Speaker, I believe I will treat you. You have said that he's your son. I will urge you to invite him to your office and advise him that and show him the way to go.
Thursday night scenes in Parliament was at least the third time that MPs were at each other's throats in Parliament. There were near fisticuffs over disagreement about the EC's proposed new constitutional instrument, which is yet to be laid in Parliament. The MPs on the minority side wanted Madam Jean Mensah herself to appear before the committee, and she was not available. She was represented by her deputies. The minority say the EC chairperson is not respecting Parliament, and which led to near fisticuffs on the floor of the House, although the cameras were not in the chamber at that time. The Speaker of Parliament and both sides now agree that tempers need to calm down a bit in the House as they go about national issues. Reporting for Joy News, Kwekwa Asante, Parliament House, Accra.